Oh, yeah, we are back and we are live. Oh, yeah, ladies and gentlemen, you already know what it is. Do I have to tell you? Heck, no, I don't have to tell you. I have to tell you clearly my black balance is a little off on my screen. But other than that, man, I am excited, and I hope you're excited too. It's time to get it going, guys. It's time to get it rocking. It's time to make it happen. And why are we doing that? Why are we saying that? We're saying that because we have an amazing guest. We have some amazing content. Welcome to the PT Pod OG show. The PT Pod presents. As you know, we have some great shows. Thank you for tuning in all week. 5 shows a week. And tomorrow night, we've got the very special PT Pod watch party. We're going to be watching Power Slap 15 live from Las Vegas with some very special guests, maybe even some actual power slappers themselves. I'm excited and you're excited. Heck, we're all excited about it. But most importantly, thank you so much for dropping by and tuning in. And ladies and gentlemen, thank you for checking this guy out. Now, without any further ado, coming to the stage, ladies and gentlemen, you know him, you love him. He's a good friend of mine. He's a good friend of yours. He's a chef. He's an entertainer. He's a producer. He's everything you could want to be. And he's here, and ladies, he's single.
But you don't have to take my word for it.
So without any further ado, bringing him to the stage right now, your friend, my friend, Mr. Isabelo Pascual. Let's go.
Thanks, FW Mike, the matchmaker.
How you doing, man? I'm all over, dude. I've been trying to get you hooked up all over the place. You know what I'm saying?
I hear you, and I appreciate that.
That's fair. That is fair. So what is up, man? What is up with you?
Well, the sky is up. Yeah, well, a lot of things happened. I just dropped the latest episode of my podcast with the ShamWow trade show guy. You know, he's also a Zig Ziglar certified Disney Institute and former Toastmaster certified speaker. You know, so a lot of people, they don't realize who they're talking to, and it's all about attention right now. And I mean, that's the real currency. Focus is currency, even if it's stupid crap that you see online, you know, that's, you know, salacious and controversial, but, you know, it could also be a bad influence on kids, but whatever, you know, because that's what the algorithm rewards.
You know, that's something not to get too deep into it now, but yeah, man, let's just get into that for a second. What the algorithm rewards, right? Okay, so like that's something that I'm kind of torn with because I feel like you almost have to sell out to the algorithm and give up, you know, your message, who you're trying to be, what you think makes you individual and special to be enough like everyone else for everyone to see you. Does that make sense in a way?
It does make sense. And now it's truly the Wild West, because before we had local access channels 20 years ago on some college cable channel. And we also had pirate radio back in the day as well. I have some friends who are DJs. But now we're fighting against robots. It's not so much attention, because even with a built-in audience, your content can be throttled by an algorithm. And so it's pushing, you know, it's the system pushing the content creator to spend more money on ads. You know, it's really trying to extract you. So you're playing that game, and even if you have good stuff, I mean, you could do grassroots movements where you actually have stickers and you do live events and giveaways. But again, it's all about attention right now. And you have to reward the attention. And it seems that visceral responses online are the best thing, where you can see on Instagram, which, you know, you can see all kinds of big booty shots, even if it doesn't have real value, but whatever. But when you deal with a veteran like FW Mike, who's been doing this for a long time, folks, and, you know, he's actually opened up for a number of celebrity comedians across the country. But
don't give me any credit.
Yeah.
Anyway, go ahead. No, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you. Please keep giving me credit. Please keep giving me.
I know, but it's hard for these kids to pay attention, even though they don't realize that who they're speaking with. You know, it's like you can brush shoulders with somebody at a cafe or at a cigar lounge and you don't know who they are. 20, 30, 40 years ago, they may have been a politician or an inventor of something that you use every day, but whatever. It's all about attention.
Shout out Michael Calderese in the building. Let's go. Shout out Mrs. Hallway. Shout out to all our chatters. We love you. Just want to pause and take a second. We don't talk to our chatters as much on this show, but we want to give them love. You know what I mean? Let me know we appreciate them. Yeah, man, that's man, I don't know. I feel like there's going to be, and there slowly is, kind of a return to storytelling, analog things, things you can, feel and touch versus just things you are Calderese in the building. Versus
hey, Chad, thanks for tuning in. Thank you so much. And now I want you guys to push the number 1 if you're tuning in. Just number 1, not complicated. Just show us you're there.
Or just hit the like. We'll take the like. The like is good. We will take the like button and ride with that. You know what I'm saying? We are all about that like button. So like it, love it, be it, live it, feel it. So anyway, but seriously, man. Oh my gosh, you got me off track and I was just about to launch it. Oh, there is a return. I noticed I was reading about there's a kind of a return to cassette tapes now, right? Like a lot of kids are starting to dig cassette tapes because unlike what we're doing, with downloads, you actually can, take a song, record it, you're touching, you're feeling it. It's something that's different. It's something that's a little better and enjoyable. And I think that's the key, I think, is to be ahead of that curve, maybe by being retro, if that makes sense. Do you see that?
So I've noticed, sorry to interject, Mike, but
I'm asking. Yes, I love it, bro. Let's go.
A lot of people get overwhelmed by this device right here, which, you can multitask and, people can't get anything done. So then there's this retro push right now where you have people using analog, Walkmans and, old Kindles and whatnot that, they can focus. Or there's that, what is that, type write device, for screenplay writers. Instead of using a laptop, they buy that peripheral and they can just focus on that exclusively. Now, I have Final Draft and I can type different stuff on my beast of a computer. But some people, they can't focus, so they use that. And I myself, I use Kindles. I've been using Kindles for, a decade now, which is great for me to just focus. Now, when, I've had, tablets and phones and whatnot, and you can read on that, but it's not the same experience when you get inundated by notifications and, all kinds of stuff.
Right. What was it? It wasn't this. It was the Nextel. Okay, so I can't remember the name of it proper, but it was the first phone that had a keypad on it. Right? Do you remember? It was silver.
The Palm Pre, or was it the BlackBerry?
Yeah. I think BlackBerry. Yeah, and it you still didn't really have internet. I think the really souped up ones you could check your emails on, right? But other than that, you really didn't have a lot going on. Shout out LJ. Shout out Chatter is now. Shout out Bob in the chat. Shout out everybody in the chat. Thanks
for tuning in, guys. We appreciate it. Give us a thumbs up. We appreciate it.
If you would please tell Isabelo to go weekly on his show, people would watch. But we're going to get into how good he is. And if you don't agree with me now, by the end of the show, you will agree with me. But we'll get we won't get into it. But yeah, the Blackberries, those were so great. The Palm Pilot. That's where I think technology should have ended. As far as communication in your hand, entertainment in your hand. Snake was plenty game. I think they had Tetris by then, but it was just Snake and then very basic Tetris, right? Like no colors. Yeah. That's all the entertainment game you need to talk to people. Sorry, go ahead. Go.
Yeah, speaking of Tetris, there's that movie on Apple TV called Tetris with Taron Egerton, and it's this true story of how a sales guy got the license for Tetris, linked up with the publisher who had the rights and had to get the rights to Nintendo. So it's those true to life stories that you hear.
Right.
A lot of people, they take like the convenience of a video game for granted, when behind the scenes, the creators went through hell to make it happen. So shout out to all the creators, and especially shout out to FW Mike, because he busts his butt and makes this awesome show happen. And for all of the listeners in the chat, thank you so much. We don't take you for granted either.
No, we value and appreciate you. Also, didn't realize Isabelo is on Rumble as well, which you as you guys know, you're watching us maybe on Facebook, maybe on Instagram, maybe on YouTube right now. Who knows where you're watching us? Maybe on Rumble. Rumble is the preferred platform. Rumble is the best. You guys go there. It's where we can do our watch parties tomorrow night, bro. Man, don't tell me you're hemmed up tomorrow night, man. Hang out with us, bro. We're probably going to have a couple of actual slap fighters who just aren't at this event dropping in. It's going to be me and Michael Mann, who loves you. You know, man. He says, what's up today? He made sure to say what's up to you. So shout out to him from you. I'm going to have the Jersey boys in if I can, Patterson and Calder Reese, because we're going to be doing the Caltrop, and then we're going to be rolling right into the watch party. So, man, to have Izzy there would be gangster. So come on. Let's go. If you want to do it, if you can drop in, you will have the link and you will have the invite. As you know, you have a standing invite. Isabella has a standing invite for anything PT Pod because the man is just freaking quality, y'all. He's a good dude who does amazing stuff. So, yeah. And without any further ado, speaking of that, man, what I want to do now is I want to, let's see here. I want to make sure we got everything going right and I have the right clips pulled. You know how that can be. All right, and let's see here. Okay, so your last podcast was your 302nd episode of Candid Thoughts. Is that correct?
No, it's not the 302nd. It's the third season. It's the third season, the second episode of the third season.
Okay, so second third season. How many episodes have you done? And not just by name this one, right? Because, you know, it's like me and you. I've done a lot. You know, I do 5 different shows a week. And then you know what I'm saying? So there's that. But then in addition to that, you know, we do a lot of different work, you know what I'm saying? And that kind of thing. However, past that, and in addition to that, we do other shows. So how many podcasts would you say that you've done in your time?
So I've had 9 mainline Candid Thoughts podcast episodes, and I've had about a dozen of the Golden Nugget episodes. And then I just have some other content as well as I've been building up the channel. But I'd like to get to a point where, you know, I have regular episodes, because the Golden Nuggets are just more opinion pieces of mine. It's not with the guests. You know, I just shoot off some of my actual experiences in business, which, you know, a lot of people can be academics. They spend 20 years in college and, you know, they become professors with their master's degrees. But I've actually applied my business expertise, succeed or fail. But you can't BS experience.
You cannot. Also, and let me ask you this. And I know my answer, and I'd like to know your answer, but I mean, would you prefer to have somebody running your company with, you know, a stack of degrees with no real world experience, who is going to need to run to books or computers, or says, hey, I'm really smart, I don't need to solve this? Or would you rather have somebody who's maybe a little rough and tumble, but you know they're going to get the job done? They're going to work the late hours. They're going to get their hands dirty. You know, who are you interested in, right? In your company.
Right. And our mutual friend, Chase Hughes, and you folks in the chat can look him up. He has a saying.
Shout out Chase Hughes. Yes.
Yeah. So he has a saying. Would you rather trust a surgeon who has multiple degrees or a surgeon with 1,000 hours of in surgery time?
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's, you know, that's the bummer about DEI, is that everybody politicized it and all of this. And at its roots, it's a great thing. But then also at its core, not even so much anything racial or whatever, but they did prioritize education over experience. You know, that's the part I'm speaking of, right? And it was like, hey, this person is equal and they have the equal amount of qualifications as far as degrees. It's like, that's fair, but do they have the same experience level? Have they grinded? How much gas money? How many tires have they put on their car to make it go for them? But then again, you find people like us looking for people like that aren't in the quote unquote job market anyway. And I think that's something that can be so tricky about it, is that we aren't part of that group of folks. We are entrepreneurs. You are the living example. You are a biz reb. You are the business rebel. You know what I mean? You show how to break molds by doing tried and true things, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? It's interesting. It's very interesting.
Yeah, and breaking the ice for real, being tactile, that's important. A lot of people think nowadays they can just go online, build up their LinkedIn, their link tree, drive traffic and whatnot. But that's if they're a coach. Now, there's more coaches than there are actual players on the field right now, on the
Mhm.
diamond. And I'm one of those who is on the diamond. Now, it's I have had some day jobs from time to time over the years, and I worked a couple corporate stints for a bit, but I have to do my own thing. I'm a type A personality.
Mhm.
Yeah. And
I
then to get a
understand
bit
that.
right, to get a bit controversial, I mean, on the DEI thing, there was also the push for the H-1B visa applicants over, American born and raised individuals.
Mhm.
And I've seen that in my own experience too. It's like when I was younger, I've applied to hundreds of jobs, and educated here. I'm born and raised. I'm an American, and I have my qualifications, and I've done extracurricular activities, and I've done internships, built up my businesses, and have tactile experience. But other people were prioritized. So there was that kind of bias with DEI filling up quotas.
Right, and it wasn't necessary. And for those that can't tell, you're not white. So I'm sorry to disappoint folk. You know what I mean? I didn't do it on purpose, but you are not Caucasian. So it wasn't it wasn't the racial aspect of it so much as it was the experience aspect of it for you. Yeah.
Right, but I mean, as Americans past the color bar, there's that the H-1B visa prioritization for certain industries,
Ah,
which, yeah,
that's a whole nother thing. All
it's
right,
another
there.
can of worms.
That is. Speaking of can of worms, man, we've got this 2-minute basically preview of the hour-long episode you put out, roughly hour-long episode. And I want to go ahead and play this, let the people check it out, and then we're going to break it down and talk a little bit more about it if that's okay. All right, let's go. Let's ride. I love it. You're like, heck yeah, let's do it. Well, fine. If you're down, I'm down. Let's go.
But a mistake a lot of salespeople make is that they sell on price, not value-based selling. Can you explain the difference?
I want to back up to what you just said about if you saw a product in a store shelves, they're already past that hurdle of adoption. So a lot of your people, nobody's ever heard of their product. They sell a product now, I think even at the dollar store, called LA's Best. And it's a spray cleaner. Well, that's a pitch item. And decades ago, it was sold at pitch stores, and it had never been in retail. And they're selling the bottles for $20 or 2 for $30 or whatever the show special was. And it's the same product. Then they got bigger and better. And then they hit that adoption where, oh, I don't even need the demo. I'll take 2 more bottles. That stuff works. Then the companies go, that works. I'll take a pallet and put it in my store. And then they start saying warehouse volume and distribution. So most of us have never seen that mass acceptance to where it's just distribute. Something you mentioned earlier, you mentioned ShamWow. Now, American trade shows, much like American TV, Shark Tank was a copy of Dragon's Den, which was a BBC show. A lot of our American TV shows are taken from our English neighbors.
Right.
The pitch industry is from England. And so there's a show called The Ideal Home Show. And it's a 28-day show, or that's the whole month of February, 12 hours a day. These people stand there and sell their gimmicks and gadgets and gizmos. And I happened to go to that show in 1990 something, and I was not a pitchman yet. And so I'm walking because I was a speaker at a trade show, and I see the guy demonstrating the sticky lint roller to get the residue off, and I bought one. And the guy's selling a 2,000-year-old pen, never needs a refill. I bought one. And somebody was selling the super chamois, the cloth that when you get it wet, it mops up soda, coffee, water, iced tea, lemonade, pomegranate juice, wine sponge, grape juice, chocolate milk, and Kool-Aid. But it wasn't called the ShamWow, and I bought it in England. And decades later, that same product got a better marketing angle, and then it got mass produced, and now everybody just calls it the ShamWow. And that's an example of a product that's new or new to you. It's been out there, but it's new to you.
Wow. All right, let's go. Talk to me about this, man. Talk to me about it being a product that's new. You know what I mean? That kind of thing, new to us, already been out there, history of products. Just talk to me about it, man. What are you thinking?
Yeah. So I mean, in my case, I've been in business. Well, Chef Isabel has been in business since 2021, and I have serviced over 750 customers across Southern California and beyond. And I've had people say, "Oh, well, my cousin buys from you, or my neighbors buy from you. I've seen you around before, but I never bought. Now I'm ready to pull the trigger." But I have been around, but I'm obscure to some people, and it's that same concept. Let's say you have a widget, which is awesome, and you have people in a nursing home that have been using it for years, but let's say they pivot to an model, then all of a sudden you have these younger people that are exposed to it.
They get into it. Now, he said a better way to market. What do you think he meant by that?
Well, in the case of ShamWow, the first approach, they did what they did, but then ShamWow is really shock and awe, and that's really capturing people's attention right now. And that's the difference. So if you're a bit boring and you can't play to the room, then of course nobody's gonna listen to you or pay attention, even if you are the bee's knees. But the average person doesn't get that. You really have to spoon feed it to them, or you have to codify your language so they understand it, right? Mike, you're on mute.
Sorry about that. Sorry. That automatically muted me when I popped that video. My bad. I'm trying to load our videos while I'm trying to produce. I apologize. You know how it is. Because I wanted, in fact, I was just saying, let me just pull that video up because it was so valuable what he said there. Let's see here. Candid. All right. So, because I
But then
pulled up
again, as
another
Hal,
one. Huh?
right? But going back to that clip, what Hal said is that it's the same product decades later, but it was the wrong approach. So
Exactly.
maybe you need some big booty bitches in your video to push the brand for the second iteration.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to show. Yeah, I
Let's
had
go back to
another thing I wanted
2005.
to. I had another fun anecdote I wanted to show, but hold on real fast. I'm looking at. See, I had all these other clips, but there it is. There it is. There it is. There it is. This is really good. Okay, and we're gonna share this one, and this is when he breaks down that structure and the pyramid, and you actually are smart enough and cool enough to put a visual in there for us, and I just really appreciated that, and I wanted people to see the value. You know what I mean? The real value of checking it out. So here we go, and let's check this out.
The times have changed. You couldn't pull a phone out 20 years ago and Google right in front of somebody. So persuasion and sales are the same. Technology has what has been the difference in the last 20 years to answer one of the questions.
Yeah. So the triggers still remain the same.
Yeah, the physics of persuasion.
Right. So what's your system to persuading a complete stranger?
You have to do AIDA, which is attention, interest, desire, and action. So
That right there. Let's go. Let's pop that back. Boom. You got to be
the
quick with it.
physics of persuasion.
Right. So what's your system to persuading a complete
Great coloring, by the way. I love this, man. Great job, brother. Great job.
stranger?
You have to do AIDA.
Boom. And can we just pause for a quick second? What is all that delicious food you got on that table, bro? Oh my God, Chef Isabelo rolls deep with the food, y'all. No digging.
Now that wasn't me. I didn't cook that meal, but that is courtesy. Well, that's from Sauced Barbecue and Spirits. They have 6 locations across California, northern and southern California. Some good southern style barbecue.
Hell
So
yeah.
this was the big show. That's over $200 of food right there.
That's
Oh,
a
you know we do it
$200
bougie.
plate.
Yes, it is. We do it bougie
Damn.
here.
How many pounds of meat would you guess it is?
That's probably a good 12 pounds of meat.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
meant for sharing, folks. Unless you're a competitive eater, like what is it? Brian Chestnut is his name?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Man, I could see. So I would guess in Oklahoma that same thing would be about 100 for that, maybe 80. Now it depends if you went to an actual like barbecue place. Yeah, not quite 200, but it'd be cheaper just because we do this here. It's just what we do, right?
Mhm.
And we're trying to get rid of it. There's a lot of pig on that plate. We got pigs we're trying to get rid of, and then beans and all that. But it would still be that. But man, I got to get you some Oklahoma barbecue. However, that looks amazing. Looks like you got some hot links there. Looks like you got some ribs. Looks like you got some chicken. What else you got on that? What
So
what else you
we
got
have
there?
some brisket. We had some
Oh,
ribs. We had some cornbread. We had some beans, mac and cheese, all kinds of good stuff.
It looks delicious. I see that cornbread too. How's their cornbread?
It was amazing. So,
Heck yeah.
folks, check out Sauce Barbecue and Spirits in California. You can go to Sauce BBQ on their IG or go to their website, saucebarbecueandspirits.com. Show some support for local businesses, guys. This ain't free. All right, guys. That's how we keep the economy rolling. The big wigs, they can, they're even though the government shut down, they're still getting paid. But the small mom and pops, they need your support right now.
Absolutely.
So put your money where your mouth is, folks, and shop small.
Absolutely. Let's go. Let's go. So
For
let's
the
hear
questions.
Yeah. So the triggers still remain the same.
Yeah. The physics of persuasion.
Right. So what's your system to persuading a complete stranger?
physics of
You have to
persuasion.
do AIDA.
Attention, interest, desire, action. Okay, so do you feel like a couple things I wanted to ask you? While you need all of them, you feel like this is pretty much in order, right? If you don't have their attention, you'll never get their interest. If you don't have their interest, you'll never figure out what their desire is. If you're never figuring that out, you're never meeting that. And if you're never meeting that, you're never able to take action. Is that correct? Would you say?
That is correct. Yeah. Now, similarly, with the straight line persuasion model with Jordan Belfort, even though Hal himself, he is a Disney Institute certified, Zig Ziglar certified, and a Toastmaster. He gives a lot of advice, but something more mainstream would be Jordan Belfort's, straight line persuasion system, which is your build instant rapport, gather intelligence, control the sale, and he has these 4 triggers similar to Hal's system. So algorithm, listen to what I'm saying. Let's hack some of Jordan Belfort's audience and give Hal some shine as well. So you have to be sharp as attack, enthusiastic as hell. You're an authority figure, and you're a person who can achieve prospects' goals. So with attention, if you have no attention, then you're going to lose their interest. So your attention, you hook them. Interest, you maintain that interest. Desire, they are premeditated to purchase the product, and action is give me your credit card. Let's as Hal says, consummate the transaction, and you get your stuff, and everybody's happy, and you get the results.
That's awesome. Heck yeah, man. And that's amazing. What I did want to ask you is, and you brought up Chase, and we were talking about Chase a little bit. Okay, so we know Chase also has kind of a pyramid structure that has authority. How do you think these things, you're one of the very few people maybe on the planet that can take Hal's thing, you know what I'm saying? Hal's idea and pyramid and Chase's, instruction and kind of bring it together and help somebody. And because Izzy, I'm going to be honest with you, man. A lot of the problem nowadays is just disseminating through the information, right?
Mm-hmm.
You ever do this? I try to do this a lot, not a lot, but at least once a week. I try to think, what if I was somebody who wanted to start a business tomorrow and I went online? Oh my goodness. What name the business? Baker, coffee shop, candlestick maker. You know what I mean? Plumber. What if I was a guy who had a plumbing license? What if I had, wanted to help people with insurance? I got my insurance sales license and then I go online, oh my God. What if I just wanted to use, Instagram, right? So say I'm a guy with a food truck. I'm a guy with a shake shop. I'm a guy with a meat business, whatever the case may be. I sell ShamWows. And I'm like, hey, man, a lot of people like Instagram. It's a photo visual driven business. I'd like to put some photos up and get some, get some, some traction, maybe get some people interested in what I do. They might like it. I believe what I sell is good stuff. And you
Right.
go there and man, I dare you, you will be, I was talking, shout out Ari, Jacob about this, but I was showing her, I was like, my feed is inundated, literally 8 ads for get more traction, get 10,000 followers, get 100,000 followers today, take this course, unlock the secrets, blah, blah, blah. And you're inundated and you could spend 10 grand and probably most of that is not worth a crap. You know what I'm saying?
And going back to Chase's model, since we're comparing different models, Chase, he mentions in order to get somebody's attention, there's focus, openness, connection, suggestion, compliance, and expectancy. And so if you can achieve 2 of those 6 traits, then you can get compliance from an individual. And let's say using that model, if you were a plumber and you were to post some pictures, I mean, you have to you have to codify the content. So, there's some factors. Which generation am I appealing to? Am I appealing to boomers, Gen Z, older millennials with families, or some kid that, will just use another app? So then why would they use you?
Okay, fair. And I see that with like an app, but what if it's something like, okay, I think Chef Isabelo is a great business like idea, right? So Chef Isabelo is a great thing for people in their 20s, specifically young families in their 20s, right? It's a great product. It'll save them money, guarantee them quality product in their home. And so you have a kid, you know what I mean? You're working hard. You're not an old person. You're a young person. But you want quality products in your home and good food is important to you. And depending on grocery stores is maybe something you'd rather support local. Or you'd rather support a businessman you know and trust, right? Well, that works for 30-year-olds and 40-year-olds and 50-year-olds. So how do you know what I mean? And that's, I think, one of the more frustrating things, too, is everywhere you go, it's, you've got to tailor your ad to 18-year-olds who like Sprite, who, you know what I mean, listen to Taylor Swift on Tuesdays at 3 p.m. It's like, no, I don't want to spend my ad dollars on just that. But I don't have enough ad dollars to go around to target, okay, I'll get that 18, but then I got a 45-year-old who likes to listen to classic Garth Brooks on Wednesdays at 6 p.m. Then I got to target him too. That's a completely different group of people, right? So where are those crossovers? What do you think about that? Like, what are your thoughts and experience in that?
Well, I mean, that's where A/B split testing comes into play, and you can put a couple, 100 into one ad, a couple hundred into another ad and see which works. With younger folks, it's more of the visceral response I found. But a problem, and this is a general problem, is that younger people are not having families anymore. And my business model has been servicing families, cross-generational families who purchase in bulk and whatnot. Now, the average 20-something now is, they're a college graduate, they're single most likely. But the main thing is that they're unmarried and they have no children. And then what I've noticed is that they use different services like Factor, HelloFresh, Good Shop, and whatnot. They want a done-for-you system, which Chef Isabelo does offer a done-for-you delivery system of organic steaks, wild-caught seafood, free-range chicken, and pork delivered to you, so offering that convenience factor. You're buying more time back in your busy schedule so you can do the stuff that you care about. But there's always, somebody who can be cheaper. But is cheaper really the best option? And as we had this conversation with Hal about value-based versus price-based, sales. And as I've been a service provider and commodities broker for years, I have ran the gamut with different prospects. And even if I've serviced celebrities, if I have great quality stuff, I am personable as an individual, there's that price objection with service. Now, a lot of the coaching industry, they can BS value and whatnot, and they can build auto authority with hype and whatnot, appealing to these 20-year-old kids, giving them a confidence course breakdown or some other crap like that. I mean, not crap, because everyone needs some, assurance, but nobody's actually providing service or value. They just regurgitate stuff. And so if we're not producing anything as a nation, then we're going to be overrun. So what do? People used to develop widgets, and then that would, be pushed on as seen on TV networks or platforms like Bulbhead, which, Hal actually introduced me to the Bulbhead CEO and, that ecosystem. So if you have a patented product and you want to get into that ecosystem, I can help with that. You can message me and we can talk about that. And then again, I've also sold beverages for celebrities such as Kylie Jenner's Glow beverage, which when I was the guy that was actually having the Costco and Gelson's and State of Bros meetings in person, then again, nowadays people can submit their consumer packaged goods product on a portal. And, there's so many different products online. And, anybody can white label an e-commerce product versus developing it themselves. Then what's the differentiating factor, right?
Right,
So it's
right.
not just the price, it's the value of your product, how it stands on its own merits. Because all these coaches nowadays, they're pushing to these 20-year-old kids. You can, outsource stuff to AliExpress and Amazon arbitrage. You can, develop some crap product that you can source. Meanwhile, it's, defective, but hey, let's get rich off this stuff and let's not have any merit anymore. That's the thing the past 12 years.
Right. Yeah, no,
So
absolutely.
I,
Well,
I,
and
I've
that
had plenty of Go ahead, Mike.
I was going to say that seems to be the consistent battle is quality versus, well, it's kind of a three, and people forget that it's a three-leg battle, and it's quality versus price versus accessibility, right? Meaning, how accessible, is Chef Isabelo's meat versus cost versus value, right? So we know your value is there. We know you have the best value by far. We know even for a single person, it would do them well to get Chef Isabelo. Man, I got a friend in Hawaii, right? Single guy. Got a lot going on, very healthy dude. He's like, oh, I got to go to Costco. And I was like, man, we got to get you some Chef Isabelo. You know what I mean? You can order it. You can put it in your freezer. And as busy as you are, you don't have to worry about it. So it's that kind of thing. But then it's accessibility. Can we go on Amazon and get it? Can we go here and there? And then creating your own storefronts on top of trying to market your product, that can be very difficult. But I think, like Hal was saying, it's about understanding the sales part of it. And I think it's where a lot of people fall short, right?
Yeah, exactly. So there's the sales aspect, driving enough traffic that's convertible. Because a lot of people, they can build a site, they can have the entire apparatus, have the right point of sale system. But then again, if you don't have enough traffic driven, qualified traffic that you can convert, then, it's money that's, bleeding. You're putting a hole in your pocket.
Right, right.
Yeah. So it's hyper competitive like it's never been in human history with the internet, because anybody can have a soapbox with this thing right here, guys.
Mm-hmm.
Even if they're a complete idiot, then people will listen,
And
or they're
most
pulling the right triggers, and you use a little 2000s hip hop techniques, then you can get a crowd.
that is fair. And yes, you can. So that is correct. Um, and that is the frustrating thing too. Is what you're talking about viral content. Speaking of viral content, everybody needs to go follow you on your pages because you have just dropped some awesome clips from the show that everybody needs to go watch. And if you want to check out the clips, guys, make sure you go to Isabelo's Facebook page where he's dropped them. Like it, like I just did there. And in fact, I'm going to love it. That's what we do. We love it. Let's go. Come on, guys. All right.
I appreciate the love, Mike. But also, guys, going to do a plug. I'm also on TikTok. I'm on Rumble. I am on all major podcast platforms. So if you want to have the audio only version, you can enjoy it on Spotify, Audible, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, all these platforms, TuneIn Radio, all that stuff. So you can check it out and enjoy it. There's plenty of actionable advice in the episode. And I'm not charging a dime for this, And you can also check out the rest of the channel. I've had a lot of my direct experience that I've cited, and then, a lot of people. So here's something that I've noticed as somebody who's, a middle millennial and, younger folks. So the job market is tough. I've had some friends who have, work as, SDRs in tech. They've been laid off. Things happen, so you have to pivot. And a lot of people are looking at the Alex Hormozy's school platform, which, it's basically trying to be the biggest community. There's all these other community apps. But the point is, you build an audience, you can monetize that audience, and you provide value. I'm offering this for free. This is actionable stuff, so you guys can start making some money.
There you go. Apply this stuff, man, and it's value. That's the key, which is why I was so excited to have you on, my brother. Plus, I love you, and you speak so well. Yeah, you class up any joint you walk into. Let's check this
Al
out.
had mentioned he was orphaned at a young age.
Let's also put some volume on it. Why are we not voluming? Where's our volume? Let's volume. Hold on real fast. Why are we not voluming? There we go.
The young kids today, though.
Let's see.
Hal had mentioned he was orphaned at a young age. A lot of people.
There we go.
Hey, by the way, folks, hey, chat, we appreciate you. Thank you so much. If you haven't already, just give us a like and comment number 1, because you are number 1 in your life, guys. Not to be narcissistic, but you are number 1 in your lives, and you have to appreciate yourselves as well. So give yourself a bit of self-love, guys.
And not the self-love Michael Calder-Reese was talking about. You know what I'm saying? Man, I don't know if you heard Friday night, but man, they were getting down on that. You know what I'm saying? They were getting down on that. So good for them, I say. So yeah, okay. They were just encouraging all guys to, stay healthy with their prostates. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Well, I mean, there has been talk about, guys having to, do their business 21 times a month to minimize the risk of prostate cancer. Now, you can do that with a partner or self-love or whatever. I mean, you do you.
Yeah, you make it happen for you is what I'm trying to tell you. That's what I forgot to do. I forgot to put us into Pickaxe. Shout out to Pickaxe, guys. If you are new, need to check out Pickaxe. It's awesome. It is the new social media site where you can find all of our stuff. And it's where we're going to be probably running our memberships and stuff like that as well. So we're going to do that. But first, let's check this out. This is you and a quick clip.
He was orphaned at a young age. A lot of people, they go through hardships. But if we fester in that negativity, we just stay down. So if we want to change, we have to take steps to move forward. Yeah. And sometimes it means physically relocating out of an environment and maybe finding some friends. I'm sure when you lost your parents, you had some bad influence friends. And so you sought different resources, or maybe you were religious back in the day.
Yeah, you are some of who you hang around with. Like if you hang around with turkeys, you're a turkey. And if you hang around with eagles, you're eagles. If you're the smartest one in the room, get to a smarter room so that you're not the smartest one in the room.
Right.
The young kids today, though, not wallowing because the future's so bright. You have so many opportunities that weren't there before.
Hal had mentioned he was orphaned at a young age. A lot of people, they go through hardships.
There we go. So what did you think of that, man? Talk to me about that, man. Talk to me about the hardships. Talk to me about that.
Right. So, I mean, a lot of people go through hard times. Let's say you grew up in a broken home, or you're in an abusive relationship, male or female. And, sometimes there's that saying, see past the trees. You have to look past the trees to see the forest. That means the bigger picture. And if you're in that toxic situation, you can't really discern the best option.
Right.
Yeah. And so in this context for Hal, he was orphaned at a very young age. And so
not wallowing because,
and then having a defeatist mentality, what's that going to do for you? So you have to navigate, even if things are impossibly difficult. It's like you're dealing with setbacks and whatnot. It's like you've tailored everything and it should have worked. And then there's something that happens out of the blue, out of your control. You have to continue navigating and, pivoting accordingly. That's what you have to do, especially nowadays. There is no certainty like there used to be,
Yeah. Let me ask you this. What steps can people take? First of all, one of the things I recommend is going to Chase Hughes and looking Chase Hughes over. Not because he gets deep into, and this is one of the things I really appreciate what he does. Not that he gets so super deep into, say, your relationship and relationship psychology, but it gets deep into your self-psychology. Something he said recently that was awesome, because I met him through these guys, through your Vince Kelvins and people like that, which if you don't know the name, I won't get into it. But he said that he wanted to work on his confidence. This was before he was who he was and has 1 million subscribers and all of that. But he said he wanted to work on his confidence, and he started looking at these guys that were known as like pickup artists or masters with the ladies. And he said, I soon realized everything they were doing was acting like a confident man, was behaving in the way they were teaching you how to behave the way a confident man would, instead of just teaching you how to be a confident man. Right. And that's what I love about what Chase does. He doesn't just teach you how to behave like someone else. He teaches you how to find those tools within yourself. And I think
that's the most important thing. Authentically.
Yeah. Yes.
He had a seminar recently in Mexico about being authentic, and going back to his origin story, just to fill in for Mike, he was 18, he was in college, and he got rejected by a woman, and he was like, how can that never happen to me again? Because that rejection just sucker punched him so hard. So that's how he got into that route. And I'm sure a lot of younger people, including myself, we look into, mystery method and all that stuff. That's kind of a rite of passage for a lot of men, because a lot of people want to improve. They say, how can I pick up chicks, or how can I better myself?
VH1. You remember that? Are you too young for that? Or
I was there, Mike. I was there.
All right.
Not at Project Hollywood, but I mean, I was in that time. I was aware.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
We were in Hawaii living it up, man. Got to hang out with Vince Kelvin actually at one time. So yeah. So
I've been to a couple of his seminars. I have a couple of his books, but let's keep that. That's when I was younger, so
disappointing. I'll be honest, a little disappointing. I was like, this is the guy? Really? Like certain guys you meet, you're like, oh, I see why this dude is who he is. You know what I mean? I see why people are about this dude. This dude has his stuff together. You know what I mean? This dude is unmovable. And then there are dudes you're like, oh, this dude is like hairspray and glitter. You know what I mean? Like,
that's glam rock from the 80s, dude.
I know. I'm just like, and that's cool, man. And if that's your thing, man, rock it. But if you, I don't know if you muted yourself. I don't know if you know that accidentally.
I did, yeah.
Okay, cool. I just want to let you know so you weren't like bop 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 bop. Anyway, man, we'll just keep it rolling. Let's just keep it rolling here. I got another clip. This one is funny.
But one thing about the pickup industry is that it has a lot of guys fixated on one thing for most of these coaches. Meanwhile, what somebody who is level-headed, mentally sane, because there are a lot of people on both ends of the spectrum, male and female, who can be toxic. But your priority should be creating the most value for yourself as a man. If I can be as real as I can be, if you have no value as a man, you are worth nothing. So you have to better yourself and realize that nobody's coming to save you. And so even when you're dire, when you're down, when you've been, when you've been backstabbed, when you've helped people and you're all alone, you have to create value so people can see you in the marketplace or in whatever social circle you're in. Otherwise, they won't care. So as a man, it's an offense. It's a sin even to be useless. So you can't just be, I'm going to sleep around and whatnot, because I know a couple people in that scene who they do that, but then what value do you have outside of that? Right? So it's not just getting laid. You have to provide value. And as we get older, our priorities change. It's not just getting laid by, 1,000 chicks. It's what value can I provide? Maybe, you want to get married and have a family. What values will you instill into the next generation? You have to think about, your legacy and, continuity. It's not just, I'm a selfish prick and I'm going to do this. I'm going to pick up all these chicks and put on an act, which a lot of guys do. And then, then you have the hobosexuals out there. There was that guy in New York. He picked up like a bunch of chicks and he was homeless. I mean, I can't imagine the smell, but I mean,
look, man, if you pick up the right chicks, you have a lovely bathroom in which to change and shower in,
There you go.
Like, especially like if they have a job, you know what I'm saying? And they got to get out. You're like, yeah, I'll hang around, make myself a sandwich. You know what I mean? Yep. Well, I catch up on Netflix, then I'll go over to the shelter and, or I'll use their Wi-Fi to get my date tonight So I'm not
Yeah,
on the streets.
but
You know what I mean? Good for
right, but that
him,
was in
I
the, that was
say.
in the 2000s. But that guy was in the 2000s, and now things are different. You have a
Oh,
lot
they
of
are.
recent graduates, Gen Zs, Gen Alpha, who are struggling to find jobs right now because the work's been outsourced for decades. So what can you do? What about domestic work? And then you have a lot of these coaches over the past 10 years are using Amazon arbitrage and sourcing product from AliExpress instead of American-made products because people don't want to pay that price. That's another factor as well. And then when you create American, people are they going to buy that or what? Are they going to punish you for that because you're selling on price instead of value? So then communicating that nowadays when a lot of people are more frugal, that's a problem in itself. You
Well, and
know?
that's a concern too, man, in that like, okay, so how do I say this? Like, the easiest way to say it is the economy's getting worse, right? But that's not necessarily the case. How about this? Your dollars are getting more valuable. Okay. And I'll say it like that. And what I mean by that is there are less people purchasing because, the population from the boomers on down all the way till now, there are half of the people producing people than there were, you know what I mean, for into the boomer generation. So every dollar spent is more valuable because it's not like they stopped making products or cut all products down to a half, right? There's still every day, there's more TV shows, more streaming networks, more products on the shelves, more channels, more. So each dollar matters more. Now, in
Right.
addition to
And
that, each dollar is becoming more scarce because, and man, this is something we were just talking about is that, I mean, with the news and stuff about, potentially having, 100,000 layoffs. And past that, I don't think we scratched the surface, brother, because I want people to, well, I don't want anybody to think about it unless, they need to mentally and physically prepare. But you got to think about there's going to be no more cab drivers. There's going to be no more janitors. There's not going to be not any more hotel house cleaners. There's not going to be any more, you know what I mean? There's not going to be any more gas station workers. There's a friend of mine right now is in Vegas staying at Hotel Autonomous. There are no people working at the desk. I mean, they have a housekeeping crew because they haven't figured out yet how to keep that efficient enough or to get that efficient enough via robot. But as soon as they do, trust, why would they pay a human? You don't have to give a robot health care. You don't have to have that liability insurance if the robot falls down the stairs because there was water because of a leak. And now you're paying for somebody's disability for the next 10 years. Robots, no problem at all. So it's inherently cheaper. But I'm talking every truck driver, every cab driver, every fast food worker, or by far the vast majority, gas station workers, home cleaners. Now, that's on the lower end blue collar side, right? Now think about coders.
Layoffs too.
Say what?
I mean, even white collar is facing
Yes.
layoffs. There have been
I was about to say now think about your coders, your web, your web designers, all it.
I have friends in those industries, and I've heard from Silicon Valley directly, and I'm under NDA. I can't talk too much about that, but I mean, they have seen it, they're directly affected. So, that's a reality a lot of people 40 and under have to consider. And in my case, I mean, I went to film school, I've worked for studios, I've done some stuff, and I saw motion control technology, automated technology, especially for for live event stuff. They have these remote control systems for motion control systems for cameras. So then, all of the V1 teams for stadiums, they're getting they're facing layoffs and whatnot with technological advancements. Newsrooms as well. Why do I need to have two camera people when I can have one operator and then I can have somebody else on motion control on the console? Or I have no operators and I have a console guy who controls the audio and the video, and everything is just pre-lit already. So that's a factor.
And past that, I mean, with that you can say, okay, so I need two cameramen, a segment producer, a lighting director, you know what I mean? And a live real-time editor, to make a news show run. That's the core raw, you know what I mean? You would like to have way more than that, but that's the core raw. Now, imagine if I have one little system and I have 10 camera angles or 5 instead of 2. I have and that, okay, so it's going to be say it's going to be roughly $100 grand cost. I'm going to pay him 50, and it's going to cost me another 50 in insurance, payroll, tax, right? So that's going to be $100 grand for the 2 cameramen, $100 grand for the lighting guy, $100 grand for the segment producer, $100 guy for basically the board app live segment editor guy that, anyway, that guy.
And then you're using
right?
a TriCast, and then you can just select it from an app now or a console
Right.
now.
You're right, exactly. So that's $500,000 a year in just human cost before the, all the equipment cost and insurance on that. Or I pay one guy 80 grand a year and I get way better lighting, way faster. I get way more camera angles. You know what I'm saying? I know way quicker if there's anything wrong. It's got backup systems to fix itself. You know what I mean? Or automatically cut to a camera. Versus a guy telling me something's wrong, then I have to react to that guy with the only other guy option I have versus 5 cameras. Just saying, man. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I said all that to say this, and I think you'll agree with me. Sorry, man. We got lost in the sauce, but I knew we would. Well, I love you, dog.
No, but this is fun stuff. And hey, chat, if you appreciate the conversation, please comment number 2.
Okay, yes. All right. I got some 1s. I don't know. I'm going to get some 2s. But I will say this. What I was going to say there is, I said all that to say this, is that something that is being undervalued, something that they made fun of in TV and media and has kind of gone away, that will be coming back, and that is the people skills salesperson. The people skills salesperson. That is what is coming back, my brother. That is what is happening now, because nobody has any people skills. You have kids that are 21, 22 years old now who have never lived without a phone and never lived without a screen. It is weird to them or intimidating to them to talk to somebody. People are talking, no, the rise in autism is this thing and the rise in... I personally think a part of the rise in autism is screen time. I think that there might be some mild autism there that you can develop through. But when you feed kids screens from the time they're 2 years old, if there's any potential of that developing, you are throwing gas on a fire. You know what I mean? Because you are teaching these kids to not deal with 3D humans, not deal with human emotion, but to have this whole world they go into that is set up for their dopamine and to get them to want things, right? And if the 2D human or the 2D character on the screen isn't liking me, I can press a button and it goes away. If a 3D human is in front of me, and now I've got sights and feels and smells I never had to deal with in my everyday interaction, that's too much. Now I get autistic. Now I get extremely uncomfortable and social anxiety. And I feel like the people who are able to rise past that, and the people who are able to ease other people and get their attention and get them comfortable communicating and bringing people together, I think that is going to be a superpower. I think it is, but it always has been throughout history. But I think in these upcoming years, I think it's going to be even more valuable than ever. I wanted your thoughts.
I mean, it harkens back to pastors. I mean, an influencer is in all effect a pastor, and then they can bring people together. You know, that's core to our human experience. We used to, after the hunt, we would gather by a campfire and recite stories. So that's why storytelling is so intrinsic to the human experience and why we like these fantasies. And in fact, there's a book called Sapiens, A Brief History of Humankind by Yuval Noah Harari. And, he poses this theory that the Homo sapiens, they smoked a bit of that sacred hash or whatever, that sacred burning bush, and they were able to. I have
no idea what you're talking about. Go ahead. I have no idea what that is. Anyway, go ahead. What were you saying? Smoking sacred bushes or something?
Comment number 3 if you partake in the devil's lettuce.
He said devil's lettuce, ladies and gentlemen. I love it. That's nice. But no, I agree. Yeah. And I believe.
So to finish my point, now Yuval Noah Harari, he posed that that's how humankind was able to develop these cognitive skills, and how Homo sapiens are able to survive instead of Neanderthals and Cro-Magnon and Homo erectus, who are more just id based. Now Freudian psychology was id, just the basic needs, but Homo sapiens, according to Harari's theory, were able to aspire and dream of something better. Maybe let's go past this valley, I'll find something else, or maybe there's more. It was it's an adaptive trigger, and it's an adaptation mechanism. But then we're also able to tell stories to motivate people to, let's come together, build the Tower of Babel. Let's do this stuff. Let's write these parables so we can pass down across generations good values.
But man, so valuable what you're saying and so important. Before there was even written language, right? Before there was a written language, they were drawing pictures to communicate stories because stories were that important. That's one thing people leave out of hieroglyphs. I mean, that's what hieroglyphs are stories, right? The pyramids, every wall of every pyramid around the world we've discovered is just a big story written all
the
around those
Cro-Magnons
things.
in the Cro-Magnons in France, they also have cave paintings. Those are,
Yes.
tens of thousands of years old.
Dude, I'll go Ancient Aliens on you. Let's go. You know what I mean? You're like,
Do not come.
with that Ancient Alien stuff, Mike.
Hey,
Do not
chat,
come.
With
let's
that
do
Ancient
voice
Alien
number
stuff,
2.
Mike.
I'm gonna come.
Sorry. That's a multi-layered drop. You got to hang out for it. But anyway, I got to get to this one. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I'll stop. You go.
Comment number 2, Chad, if you appreciate this. Let's see you guys. So we want some thinkers and living folks, not skeletons in the chat.
Yeah, man, quit
Engage.
bullying my chat, dude. You're good. Quit, leave my chat alone. They ain't messing with you. Anyway, I'm kidding. Yeah, all right. We're gonna like this one, and this one I wanted to show because this was great. This is one of my favorites. So let's check this out.
Okay, so I'm sure you're familiar with sex robots. So they're said like what $100,000 or over.
Whoa, look at your face when you said that, man. You looked way too happy. What's wrong with you, Izzy? What are you doing there? You were like, sex robots. Relax, bro. Don't act like you liked him when you're asking this man a question.
You're familiar with sex robots. So they're said like what $100,000 or over. Have you seen one live? I haven't. Okay. However, when my brother was alive, right, he was in the adult industry, right, and had been to many AVN, Adult Video News Award shows, right, in Vegas, and they're always 5 and 10 years ahead of the trend. So the subject called dildonics, or remote control dildos, right, where you on your AI can change your settings to have somebody else, probably on a cam, enjoy how you're changing your settings. Right, that's real. I mean, that's out there right now. Okay, so I'm sure you.
So playing that was just a shot in the dark, not one of my questions, but it was just to play to the algorithm, because the algorithm loves that visceral response stuff. I mean, it's part of our human programming, and if we were doing a lot more of that as a society, then we wouldn't have these population issues. But there's also, if you don't have that. If you don't have that comfortable factory job like generations before, you had a union job, then you don't have that guarantee. And you can get screwed over by your supervisor, or different stuff can happen, especially if you're, on your own. So
right, with that's a sticky situation.
It is sticky, Mike.
I didn't mean to say it like that. I mean, it is. Here's what I mean to say. I personally think one of the reasons we've had the birth decline rate that we have is because of the popularization of masturbation. But I'm just saying, and I mean, I just think that it's one of those that is, with the porn. And I mean, look, okay, back in the day, this is why Vince Kelvin doesn't have a job anymore, right? Because nobody goes out. Alcohol, I'm glad you're not in the alcohol business, man. Everybody in the alcohol business is suffering. It's down over half, right? So less than 50% of alcohol sales used to be. People don't go to bars and nightclubs. It's a rough industry. From having connections in that industry a little bit, it's not like it was. I mean, going to the club was a thing. It's just not anymore. After COVID, everybody's life is changing, and with the gaming and the IRL chats, those things trip me out. Have you seen those?
I've noticed that now. To expand on that, I mean, I would also say it's attributed to third wave feminism as well, which, it demonizes men, and generalizing any group is not, is not fair, and it's not right. So then when you have a bunch of these, Gen Z college age kids and younger, way younger, who, they just hear that and then they just demonize all men, then what can you do? Especially when there's a good guy who's, ambitious, he wants love. and you have this brainwashed generation that just thinks, hey, I hate all men and all this stuff. Just maybe my dad was an alcoholic, he had borderline personality disorder or whatever, and he couldn't regulate. I'm going to hate all men. And that's a belief that's been pushed in academia.
No, it has. I agree. Hate is such an easy out, isn't it? It's like, if I have problems, I'll just hate this group over here and say it. If I could get them to change, my problems would be solved. It's so sad. And it is so popular. It's the thing. It's been the thing. You go, unfortunately, it's nothing new. You know what I mean? Since like the beginning of
Mike,
groups. Huh?
Yeah. As you said before, Mike, it's so easy to just block somebody who has, a conflict of interest or a difference of opinion. But
Right.
as an adult, who has communication skills, sometimes you have to troubleshoot and deal with situations, and you find common ground as a human being, not as an android who can just push, block, because whatever, and listen to some propaganda without even, thinking for themselves and doing research and have critical thinking,
Right.
But
speaking of that, that's what I was going to say, though, is back in the day, man, you used to have to get dressed up nice. You used to have some kind of job to have enough money to go out and look decent and smell decent and be attractive enough to ladies. And not even that you were going to lock in and take a lady home or score that night. So you might have to do that for 2, 3, 4 months. You know what I mean? And develop a relationship or find a lady you liked. And then you would, take her out 3 or 4 times. And then you would connect and hook up. Right. And, that versus being able to OnlyFans it, you know what I mean? Or whatever it is, $25 a month. I don't know, whatever. You know what I mean? I can have access to all the crazy things I want a chick to do. And I don't have to leave my house. I can be as fat and as nasty and as gross as I want to be. And all of that pleasure in my life is taken care of. I don't have to work for that anymore. And the result of it isn't a family and a child. The result of it is me just being grosser. You know what I mean? But feeding this awful machine too, by the way.
Right.
Like, that's a whole
and on the flip side, there are also some nice guys or people who are, sensitive and maybe more gentle who have been exploited. So it's like they go on. There have also been public studies where some women would exploit guys, just to go out and eat, and that's it. They do that first date for that reason. So it's on both ends of the spectrum. Men and women are suffering.
Now, I heard it's changed, though, too. Like, I talked to, I don't see it on Facebook, so God knows if it's real on Instagram. But I see these girls, and they're like, I had to pay for the date, or I pay, and, like, there was, like, a poll recently from, like, Plenty of Fish, one of those dating apps, and it's, like, 50% of the women don't expect to pay for it. I'm like, wow, see, that's how far out of the dating pool I am. You know what I mean? I was brought up, you always pay for the date. You know what I mean? That kind of thing. And, now you always open the door for the lady. And now it's considered sexist in some circles to open a door for a lady. And you know what I mean? It's considered sexist if you pay for that. It's like, no, like I was taught this is how a gentleman behaves. And you don't expect anything out of it. You just do it because that's your part as the man on the date. Right. So, yeah, and I think once you take that out, right, that begins to cause opens the can of worms, if you will, for lack of a better way to say it. Yeah, so. Yeah, all right, rock on. Are you there?
No, I agree about that, because I have been, in a lot of my relationships, I've, had the traditional paradigm where I'm the man, I take, I go 100%, I didn't do 50-50. But also I had been exploited in a couple situations, and maybe I was a bit too nice or whatnot, or I was raised a gentleman, but not everybody's like that. I mean, there are some socioeconomic factors with people. That's some people might be more predatory for one reason or another, and exploit either partner in the relationship, male or female. But that's just human nature. So you can't generalize a situation. You have to address. Go ahead.
I'm listening. No. I pulled up a thing and it popped for a sound for a second because I'm pulling up our next clip. Sorry.
So I'm saying you can't just generalize a whole situation. You have to discern and use your own experiences and whatnot. And if you're a mature and intelligent adult, then you have those skills. But a lot of these kids coming up, they can just block something they don't like. Or they listen to one influencer like Taylor Swift because she commands a huge following. and they'll listen to her, you know, unilaterally. That's it, without thinking for themselves.
Absolutely. And a lot of people profit off of that. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people profit off of that. And that, to me, is the saddest part about it, is that we live in a world where harming our citizens is for profit, and I don't know, man. It's such a what do you call it? A Sophie's choice. You know what
Mhm.
I'm saying, for lack of a better way. It's so hard because at one point you want to be successful and profitable and you want to set the example. But by the same token, man, you don't want to be a sellout, one of those people that, doesn't care about what the people you're serving is. Do you know what I mean?
Mhm.
So that's one of those
Yeah.
challenges. But see, also, that's why I brought you on, man, because you're one of those people that absolutely and specifically understands that. And like you always, that's the cool part about it, man. If somebody becomes your customer or client, they don't just get Isabelo the consultant. They don't get Isabelo the producer, or even Isabelo the wholesale quality meat provider, or they get all of you. You're going to contribute to all of their success. You want people to do good in all ways, shapes, and forms, man. And that's what I dig about what you're doing. And that's why I was happy to have you on, and kind of what we did with Hal there too. Yeah. Kind of some of the stuff you got into with Hal there as well. So yeah.
Yeah. And Mike, I appreciate your friendship too. And guys, all of you listeners in the chat, Mike's doing a great job to put on the show, to be consistent 5 days a week. It's not easy doing what he does. So for some of the new viewers, just appreciate the content. This is not some, wham bam, thank you, ma'am thing. Mike's put a lot of work and intention into this program. So guys, just have a bit of gratitude for the platform, which is not really discussed because a lot of these kids take everything for granted, but they never think about how it was created or the hard work, blood, sweat, and tears somebody puts behind the scenes.
Absolutely.
They just see.
Speaking of that, man, I just wanted to hit real fast. Speaking of the blood, sweat, and tears and hard work. Hey, football fanatics, are you ready for some primetime NFL action? Of course you are. So tune into Westwood One for all the gridiron glory you crave. From jaw-dropping touchdowns to game-changing plays. Don't miss a moment of the excitement. Catch every snap, every tackle, and every victory on Westwood One. You can listen to the NFL on the NFL app, on the Westwood One Sports app, on westwoodonesports.com via Westwood One station streams, or by asking Alexa to open Westwood One Sports. If it's the NFL, it's on Westwood One. All right. Thank you so much, brother. Thank you for the pause for the cause there. I sure appreciate it. Had to get that covered. It's the first of the month. It's the first of the month. You remember that song? It's the first of the month. Get up. But yeah, we had to cover that ad, man. We got to get them ad reads in. So, and that's what I'm trying to do for you, man. We got to get you a show where you're doing ad reads, brother. You know what I mean? Ad reads, player.
Yeah, I know. It's one thing at a time. I've got a lot of stuff on backlog.
I know, dog. I know. As your manager, I'm kidding. I love that. I want to pull up. I know we're overtime here. Give me one more clip and then I'll let you go. Is that fair?
Let's play it by ear.
One more clip, man. That's all I'm asking. Come on. It's a short clip. You know what I mean? So, boom. Let's go. Check this out.
Back in the day, you would search through encyclopedias. There would be an encyclopedia salesperson would come over and sell different volumes.
Right.
And so that's how you guys used to gather some more information back in the day.
My father, rest in peace, when I used to ask him how to spell a word, his response was Dictionary.
Right.
Go look it up. How do you look up a word you don't know how it's spelled? Now, I'm ADHD and dyslexic, and there's a lot of words where it doesn't spell the way it sounds, and you can't put that in a dictionary and find the word.
Right.
Now, it's got an auto-suggesting. You've typed in the first three letters, and it knows what word you want. So I'm too young to say the kids today don't know how hard it was back then.
Back in the day, you would search through.
I'm too young.
Now,
to say
one more
today.
request, Mike. If we can also play the step aside old man clip. That's important.
Absolutely. I'm pulling it up now. No problem, dog. I thought you never. I just wanted to talk about that one for a second because I just think that's value that we've lost. You know what I'm saying? That's value that we've lost. Is that value to go out and get it yourself? You know what I mean? That's something that
there's instant gratification with all these different apps and aggregates right now. When back in even in my day, and Mike and I, we have a few years apart, but even for me, I still went to networking events and I built up my Rolodex in person. I did internships. I worked for different people, did different stuff. I bartered, and that's how I built up my network. It's not just, oh, I'm going to be an influencer and then all of a sudden people are going to call me. You have to provide actual value, not just show your body.
Absolutely. And building, people say the word building relationship, and I don't think they really understand what that actually means. It is a skill set. You know what I mean? Oh, T's in the building. Shout out to T-Cron. I didn't even see him. He was over on the Instagram side. But we got a lot of chats, man. A lot of people are watching from all over. Thank you all so much. But that's relationship building. People are like, oh, that is his skill set, man. That takes time. That takes the most valuable resource. And that is time. So when you build that relationship, it is valuable. When you have a real relationship built with somebody that is really out there doing real things like you are trying to do, at least, that's value on a level that, I don't know, man, it's value that can't be measured because, man, it's what, go ahead.
In the real world, folks, when you're doing business, that's the difference between somebody picking up your phone call or not.
Exactly.
That's that phone call means money, guys. That's why we're doing this for money. Let's not forget that.
And when you get in these high-level deals, it is, what can you do for me? And not, hey, I'm selling you a product, buy it from me because you like me and I do a good job, which is nothing wrong with that, right? However, when you get into these higher-level deals, it's, okay, man, I would love to do business with you, but this guy over here, I could do business with him, and his cousin has a developing business, and I'm wanting to remodel my storefront, and he's telling me that his cousin can hook me up with a discount if I buy product from him versus you. And you're going to need to have relationships built where you can come at him in a different way or provide even more value. But that's where those relationships that you have built come in. You know what I mean? And you also find, this is a side note, especially with the internet nowadays and trying to do what we do, there's a lot of dudes you're going to build relationships with that ain't worth a damn. You know what I mean? I'm going to be another rapper dead for popping off at the mouth, but shit, I shouldn't have said. So be careful about who you spend your time with, right? If it's people like you, sir, are someone that everybody should want to get to know, want to befriend, want to try to work with, and be a benefit to you on some level because you're going to be a benefit, and you are already such a benefit to so many folks, right? But I think it's important that people understand that and what that really is, right? So, yeah.
I appreciate the compliments, Mike.
Absolutely. Well, yeah, no, well, and well, just all of us need to put our seeds into good soil, if you know what I'm saying. And I mean to make that sound weird.
No, it's true. That's a good analogy, but it also goes back to instant gratification where people think automatically I'll get this and this, and it's just there's a generation of takers instead of people who have a reciprocal relationship and think, hey, this is cool outside of business. Maybe we can, go to a cigar lounge, or we can, hang out at, a ball game or something, which is human, right?
Right.
Because if you're just a taker, then nobody wants to deal with you.
Well,
but if you're overly giving, you get taken advantage of.
Right. Well, and a keyword, true. A keyword you said before is value. The more value you exchange with others, the better off you'll both be. And I think we forgot that somewhere along the way. You know what I mean? So, and here we'll pull this one up. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, but that's why we have folks like FW Mike and Isabelo, the Biz Rep, who are able to talk on this. And for the people that are paying attention, hopefully we've imparted enough value to you guys, and you can appreciate this conversation, and maybe you can use it in your own lives.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. This is the Step Aside Old Man clip requested by the author himself. Let's check it out, guys.
You come from a time where you actually had to network in person and attend seminars. There weren't these platforms like Omegle. Years ago, there was a statement that was said,
Step aside, old man. You remember what step aside, old man was?
No.
What it was is 100 years ago when people got cars, they're driving their cars. And the people from the generation before them were driving their cart and buggy. They hadn't upgraded from the cart and buggy to a horse shed. And these people in the cars are screaming, step aside, old man. Make way for those of us who have moved on with technology. We have an automobile. What were the cars like 100 years ago? Our cell phones are only 20 years old, and we're having a conversation about people who didn't even grow up without never having a cell phone. So that gets me excited about the future.
You come from a time where you actually had
Wow.
to.
Wow. There was a whole lot packed in there, man. A whole lot packed in there. Wow. That's interesting. You know,
And in the
so-
full episode, I mean, Hal gets into, how, there's a turning point where back in there was the horse buggy days where the Model T, started to come up, and then that was being adopted. Social media is being adopted right now. E-commerce is being adopted. So, be open to change. Otherwise, if you're even 6 months behind, you're behind the curve, especially nowadays, and you're in business. That directly affects your wallets. So you do have to stay current and in the know, so you're not a relic, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Wow, man, I love talking. You know what's crazy? So, yeah, a little behind the scenes, y'all. Isabelo is a very good friend of mine. I love him to death. He's one of the smartest, most inspiring people you would know personally. If you're lucky enough to be his friend, be his friend. But past that, we talk like homies, this going on, that going on. And then we get on a podcast to talk kind of about our business and what we're doing. And it's a whole new level of inspiring, a whole new level of cool. You just, you appreciate it when you find cats in your tribe you can run with, dog. So I appreciate you on that level, man. And this is such a great show. I know you said you didn't have a lot of time for me. We're already 20 minutes over. I could do 3 hours with you all day, every day. So no worries, man. I'm going to let you get on with your life. And I'm going to try to stay married and get on with mine.
So there's that saying, happy wife, happy life. Would you say that's true, Mike?
A lot of people argue over that, and they're like, nah, and this and that, and you just try to keep, and I say, no, man, I say happy marriage, happy life. You know what I mean? When your job as a husband, when what makes you happy is to be a great husband. And when you have a wife, that what makes her happy as a wife is to be a great wife, then happy wife, happy life. But her happiness is in being a great wife. So, but she needs a great husband. There's no great husband without a great wife, and vice versa. So absolutely on that level, but not just, please the wife and be happy. You know what I mean? It's not like that. You know what I mean?
And like I said before, with, interpersonal relationships, it's you can't just say, I'm going to divorce you because we had a disagreement, which a lot of people who believe in instant gratification do. And the problem with society is that, if one party says, I'm going to divorce you and I'm going to blame you for everything, then what is solved? So in a partnership or a friendship, you have to come together and say, hey, maybe I was wrong. Maybe she was right. Or maybe she has to say, I'm mature enough to understand maybe I was being a brat and maybe I got to listen,
And brother, I'll tell you, man, you get to a certain age where that shit just don't matter anymore. You get to a certain age where it's so much about, like, you get to a certain point and it's like these tiny battles aren't worth the energy. And it's so much about energy and spirit. And when you share a home with someone, it's like, you really look, man, I will tell you, studying Buddhism really helped me, right? On a psychological level, because you understand, okay, instead of, I don't like this person because they made me mad. That's the absolute wrong way to think of it. You have to go, information has come to me that I disagree with or don't like enough, where I'm willing to either hurt another person, shut it out, or be angry to deny this information as it is coming to me or as I am interpreting it, right? Now, it's not easy to do, and I know I get mad all that. I'm the worst at it, but at least I can admit that there is a door, right? There is a door,
right?
If you can be calm and mature enough to walk through it. So,
right, but that's for a couple in a healthy dynamic. Now, a lot of people, like Hal mentioned in the other clip, a lot of people are in the wrong crowd, or they're in a toxic relationship, and one
Yeah.
party's not willing to, listen or compromise. Oh, I'm just going to shut you off and go to my sister's house, or I'm going to blame you for everything and call the cops and do all this crazy shit and, compromise your life, which a lot of men and women have faced. So,
Absolutely.
to provide value to the audience, if you're in a relationship, you have to, as my dad has told me, give and take in a relationship. And I've done that in my relationships, but unfortunately, I've dealt with a lot of divas and brats. Maybe that's my type.
Maybe it's
But
not your type, and that's the problem, dog. You know what I'm saying? Come on.
well, I was thinking with a different kind of head, if you know what I mean, guys.
That's that's what I'm saying. That's the problem.
But that's youth, folks. That's youth.
It is. It is. It is. Man, how can the people find you? Where should they follow you? Let's get into it real fast as we round this corner and call it a night, dog.
Right. So thank you, folks. You can check me out on the Candid Thoughts podcast, which is available on YouTube, Rumble, Facebook, on all major platforms. You can also follow my Instagram. There's Chef Isabelo, which is my meat wholesale business, where you get your organic steaks, wild caught seafood, free range chicken, and pork delivered direct to you, done for you, shopping, so you get more of your time back. I also offer interstate shipping options as well. So you can check out chefisabello.com. Follow me on Instagram, Chef Isabelo. And if you're interested in some of my consulting services, you can go to alphafantana.com. The links are in the Candid Thoughts podcast description box. If you folks can read, you can check the description box. There's a lot of information there and resources to help you folks out. But a lot of people don't read anymore, unfortunately, right, Mike?
Let's not even. Let's end on a positive note, sir. All right. The sad part is, bro, people can't even read. It's not that they don't, it's that they can't. You know what I mean? And that's sad. You know what I'm saying? So, I don't know, man. I can't walk unless I use my legs.
Right.
So anyway, just leaving it there. It's my choice, right? So, guys, follow Isabelo. It's going to be one of the most rewarding things you do at this point before he gets all those subscriptions and it costs money for access. Enjoy it and take advantage of it now. He also is always going to be dropping knowledge about business, small business, great products, great information. He provides it all. So make sure you follow him there. And then, of course, guys, it's PT Pod. This is show number 4 of 6 for the week. Thank you so much for tuning in, everyone. Shout out to the chat. And tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Central, we start out. It's going to be a long night, guys. Let's go with it. Long night of podcasting, fun night of podcasting. We're going to be starting out at 7 p.m. Central with the Call to Reset Center Cup Media restreaming right here on the PT Pod channel. And then right after that, we're going to be doing a live watch party with Power Slap 15 on the PT Pod channel. That's going to start at 8. Just like all of our shows start, we're going to run the caltrop a little early so you guys can get in with us, get some good news and politics, get your snacks ready. You know what I mean? And then starting at 8 p.m., man, we're going to be watching some cat slap the smack out of each other. They're going to be in, you know what I mean? A little, and then maybe a little, and then maybe a little, and then a little, you know, and then a whole lot of, yeah, and then a few knockouts. I'm bringing back the patented rap. You know what I mean? We are going to be doing it, y'all. We're going to be doing it. You know what I mean? And we're going to have all kinds of surprise guests. Of course, it will be me and my right-hand man, Michael Mann. So hopefully you can drop in, bro. We're going to be going. It'll be probably going till, let's see, it'll be going from 6 to 8:30 your time, probably. So if you're available at all, jump in for a few minutes. We'd love to have you. Guys, this has been PTPOD Presents Isabelo, the Biz Reb, and his podcast, the Candid Thoughts Podcast, one of the hottest podcasts out there. Don't forget about the Biz Reb. That's what it's all about. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. We will see you tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Central Time, where the fun starts, and we are out.
Oh, boy!